My 27-year-old female, wedding to my fiancé, 28-year-old male, is in 6 months. We're having a medium-small wedding in my hometown, 80 people, and I couldn't be more excited to be marrying the love of my life with all of my family and friends with us. We aren't doing anything crazy at the wedding. It's going to be an outdoor venue with buffet-style food and an open bar, like a lot of weddings have. One of my friends has raised a problem with the open bar though. She, we'll call her C, is 6 months sober from alcohol. She isn't by any means my closest friend, and isn't in the bridal party, but I care about her and have been there for her through her recovery. She's an old friend from college who lives about 2 hours away from my hometown. I don't know everything about her recovery journey, but I know she lived in a sober living facility for around 2 months after she lost her job due to drinking on the job. She's doing really well from what I know. No relapses, goes to AA, and has found a new job. I invited C to my wedding 2 months ago, and she was so excited to come and celebrate with me and my college friend group. I didn't really think about the open bar when I invited her. For the wedding planning, I was mainly focused on the big picture, not individual concerns aside from allergies and things along those lines. I guess someone raised an issue with C coming to the wedding with my open bar because she called me last week and asked me if it was true that there would be an open bar. I said yes, and she blew up. It almost sounded like she was accusing me of trying to make her relapse, and I had no idea how to respond. I told her that I just didn't think about it in reference to her recovery. I told her that I love her and respect her recovery, and that I wouldn't be offended if she chose not to come to avoid being around people drinking. That wasn't a good enough solution for her. She said something along the lines of, "Well, can you get your deposit back?" This caught me off guard, and I told her that I didn't think so. I said that I wouldn't be cancelling the open bar at my wedding just so she could attend. I tried to give her other options, like only staying for the ceremony, or even bringing her sponsor as a plus one, but none of my options were adequate for her. Some of my friends are calling me the jerk, and some of them agree with me. My wedding is supposed to be about me and my fiancé, and I hate feeling like a jerk for having the wedding that we want. So, would I be the idiot for not cancelling the open bar at my wedding so she can attend? Edit. Forgot to mention this in the post. And to C, but we have a few minors who will be coming, and we do have a mocktail menu planned. I'm going to call C later today and give more suggestions. Thank you all for the upvotes and comments. I really appreciate all of the support. Edit 2. I called her. Long story short, she doesn't think she can attend the wedding and stay sober because she has fallen in love with my fiancé. They've only hung out in group settings, with me, aside from a hi on FaceTime or social media like. Is there something else going on? Is this due to her recovery or mental state in some way? Safe to say she's uninvited, but what questions should I ask? My fiancé denies leading her on in any way. What do I do? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk. Show the open bar people a picture of her and instruct them not to serve. Problem solved. Edit. Y'all are very silly, to the point where I'll put this here. OP's friend is focusing on the open bar, like that is the issue. We all know it isn't. I think OP should still offer this, not because I think it's actually what they should do, but it's a suggestion that might make the friend reconsider what the actual issues are and withdraw. That way, OP can maintain a friendship they want, and it won't cause conflict, because ideally, the friend will come to this solution and realization on their own. Sorry, I didn't outline it step by step for you all. Comment 2. Not the jerk. Her options are 1. Don't attend the event with alcohol. You made it clear that you would understand if she didn't come. 2. Attend, but don't drink. That can be difficult for someone in recovery, and if she thought it would be too difficult, she has option 1. She doesn't get to dictate the circumstances of your wedding due to her recovery. You would only be in jerk if you insisted she come when she didn't feel comfortable, or if you were encouraging her to drink. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 3 months since my last post, and boy, do I have an update for you all. After the whole situation with my friend C and the open bar at my wedding, things took a turn for the dramatic, and I've been on an emotional whirlwind ever since. So, after the last update, I had a heart-to-heart with my fiancé about C's confession of love for him. He was just as shocked as I was, and assured me there was nothing between them. We decided to focus on our relationship and move forward with our wedding plans. But, as you can guess, that wasn't the end of it. A month after C was uninvited, I found out through our college friend group that she had been spreading rumors about my fiancé and her having an affair. This was a complete shock to everyone, especially since we all knew they had barely interacted outside of group settings. My fiancé was devastated by the accusations, and it put a strain on our relationship. We spent countless nights talking it through, reaffirming our trust in each other, and trying to ignore the whispers that followed us around. In the midst of all this, my maid of honor, who's been my rock since kindergarten, revealed that she had seen C and my fiancé together at a coffee shop a few weeks before C's outburst. This was news to me, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. My fiancé explained that C had reached out to him, wanting to apologize for her behavior, and that he agreed to meet her in a public place to keep things transparent. He didn't tell me because he thought it was a non-issue and didn't want to add to the stress of wedding planning. The confrontation that followed was intense. I felt betrayed that he kept this from me, and he felt like I didn't trust him. It took a lot of tears and long conversations to get past that, but we managed to work through it, and our relationship came out stronger on the other side. As for C, after the coffee shop incident came to light, she reached out to me, apologizing for everything. She admitted that her feelings for my fiancé had caused her to act irrationally, and that she was seeking help to deal with her emotions and maintain her sobriety. I appreciated her apology, but I couldn't just let her back into my life after everything that had happened. The wedding day finally arrived, and it was beautiful. The outdoor venue was perfect, the buffet-style food was a hit, and the open bar was enjoyed by all. My fiancé and I had a magical day surrounded by our family and friends, and for a moment, all the drama seemed like a distant memory. However, the bittersweet part of this update is that C wasn't there to share in our joy. Despite the chaos she caused, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness that our friendship had ended in such a tumultuous way. She had been a part of my life for so long, and it hurt to know that she was out there, probably struggling with her own demons while we celebrated. The wedding ended with us dancing under the stars, and as I looked into my husband's eyes, I knew that no matter what had happened, we were meant to be together. It wasn't the smooth journey I had envisioned when we got engaged, but it was our journey, and we made it to the other side, together. My friends expect me to pay equal for Airbnb and food, but won't let me bring my dog or eat gluten-free. So I demand a bedroom, and they call me unreasonable, but I have other plans. I, 35-year-old female, have a group of friends I've known since university. We have always been close, and despite all moving to different parts of the country, we make the effort to have weekends away in an Airbnb a few times a year. Of the 6 of us, I'm the only one without kids. I don't mind kids, but I am just not interested in having my own. When we do our weekends, they often bring their kids, not partners. It's just us and the kids. We always split the cost of the Airbnb equally and arrange a supermarket food delivery, which is also split 6 ways. Despite the fact that the kids' stuff is half the food bill, they're all fussy, so completely separate food is bought for them. Chicken nuggets, fish fingers, etc. I am gluten intolerant, so I need special foods, but the group asks me not to add those to the order due to expense. They don't seem to get that me paying for kids' food I won't eat is the same as them paying for gluten-free food. Also, as the childless one, I get the sofa bed, while the others get the big, comfy bedrooms for them and their kids. It's just assumed that it's okay, and I never get consulted. As you can tell, I find it annoying, as it's never acknowledged that I get the short straw, despite paying the same as them. However, I love spending time with them, so I don't say anything to avoid rocking the boat. That was until recently when I got a dog. None of my friends or their kids have an issue with dogs, but they're also not big dog people either. For our next meetup, I asked if anyone would mind if I brought the dog, so I wouldn't have the expense of a dog sitter. I made it clear that I would monitor her carefully, go outside with her to clean up poop immediately, put her in her crate for sleep, bring a baby gate to keep her in a separate room from the kids, bring all her food. I'd take sole responsibility if damage happened. My friends said they weren't comfortable with that. I completely get it. However, I said in that case I would need to pay for a sitter kennels. And therefore, I think we need to revisit the way we split the costs. If I'm making concessions to accommodate the kids, then I should pay a smaller portion of the Airbnb. Also, I said I would not be paying for the portion of the food bill, which is for the children. I'll pay my equal share of the adult food, but no more. They have said I'm being unreasonable, and they don't understand how I can claim I'm getting the short straw with the room/food. They believe I'm being petty because they said no to the dog. I don't think I am. I'm just asking for them to make concessions for me the way I have for them for many years. They say I'm comparing my dog to their kids. I'm not. I'm pointing out that the money paid versus the resources being used is out of balance. And now I have the dog. I can no longer support this. I don't think I'm being unreasonable, but would like to hear what others think. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're not the jerk. They believe I'm being petty because they said no to the dog. Not precisely. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think I'm being unreasonable, but would like to hear what others think. You're not being unreasonable. People always get angry when you stop letting them take advantage of you. Comment 2. Also, as the childless one, I get the sofa bed while the others get the big, comfy bedrooms for them and their kids. It's just assumed that it's okay, and I never get consulted. Stop traveling with these people, or let them get their own Airbnb, and then you and your pup can get your own nearby. You're not the jerk. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post about the Airbnb situation with my friends and their kids. I've got some updates that I think you'll find pretty interesting. So, after I brought up the issue of splitting costs more fairly, things got tense. Remember how I mentioned that I always get the sofa bed? Well, this time, I decided to stand my ground. I told them that if I'm paying an equal share, I should get a bedroom just like everyone else. You could have cut the tension with a knife when I said that. Let's rewind a bit to give you some context. My friend Sarah, who's usually the peacemaker of the group, has a daughter, Lily, who's allergic to nuts. Because of this, we've always been super careful about what food we bring into the Airbnb. No one complains because we all love Lily and want her to be safe. But when I asked for gluten-free options to be included in the food order, suddenly it was too much to ask. Back to the present, Sarah was the first to push back on my bedroom request. She said that her and Lily needed the bedroom because of Lily's allergies, and they couldn't risk having allergens where they sleep. I get that, but it's not like I was asking to swap with her. There were other bedrooms after all. Then there's Mike. He's got twins, and they're a handful. He argued that the kids needed space to play, and that's why they needed the bedrooms. But here's the kicker. Mike's twins have taken over the living room every single trip, leaving me with nowhere to relax. I brought this up, and Mike just shrugged it off like it was nothing. Now, let's talk about the dog situation. I love my dog, and she's well behaved. After they said no to bringing her along, I found a great dog sitter, but it wasn't cheap. I explained to the group that since I was incurring this extra cost, I shouldn't have to pay for the kids' food. That's when things really heated up. Jen, who's always been the budgeter of the group, accused me of trying to skimp out on costs. She said that the kids' food wasn't that expensive, and that I was overreacting. But here's the thing. Jen's son, who's the pickiest eater I've ever met, eats nothing but brand-name snacks and meals. We're talking about a significant chunk of the food budget here. The argument escalated, and everyone was talking over each other. It was chaos. Then, out of nowhere, Tom, who's usually quiet, dropped a bombshell. He admitted that he felt the same way I did about the cost split, but had been too afraid to speak up. He didn't think it was fair that I always got the short end of the stick, especially since I was the only one without kids. This revelation caused a rift in the group. Half of us felt one way, and the other half felt another. It was clear we weren't going to resolve this anytime soon. In the midst of all this, another issue came up. During our last trip, I noticed that some of my gluten-free snacks had gone missing. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it at the time, but now that we were airing all our grievances, I brought it up. Turns out, it was Sarah who had taken them. She said she didn't realize they were mine and thought they were for everyone. This might seem small, but it was just another example of how my needs were being overlooked. So, where does this leave us? Well, the group is divided. Some of us are trying to find a compromise, while others are digging their heels in. The tension is thick, and I'm not sure how we're going to move forward from here. We've got another trip coming up, and no one has booked the Airbnb yet. Conversations have been awkward, and it feels like we're at a stalemate. It's a mess, and I'm not sure if our friendship can handle this kind of strain. Sister expects me to let her stay after she's homeless, but I say no, and she sneaks in with roommate's help, only to admit she stole my high school crush, and now she's sorry. My sister, 19-year-old female, and I, 21-year-old female, don't have the greatest relationship ever. I find my sister entitled, spoiled, and selfish, and she finds me selfish and unforgiving. We always had a very tense relationship. Our parents started it by babying her as the youngest, and treating us very differently, while also expecting us to be best friends forever and to do everything together and share everything. My sister has no regard for me at all. A few times when we were teenagers, the heating went out in our parents' house, and I was lucky to have the warmer room outside my parents'. My sister expected me to swap rooms with her so she could be warm and I would sleep in the cold. When I told her she could sleep in my room with me if she wanted to, she told me I should give her my bed and go to hers. Another time, I was sick with the flu and home from school for 2 weeks. My parents were at a wedding one Saturday and told her to get me to drive her to her friend's house for a concert they were attending. I told her I couldn't bring her because, I was sick as heck on the couch and barely able to keep my eyes open. She pestered me for the best part of 2 hours and yelled at me for messing with her life, saying I was so selfish for not making her plans a priority. There were other pettier things from our childhood, like how angry she'd get that she couldn't steal my makeup since mine didn't work for her skin, or how she'd be mad when I bought a lock for my closet so she couldn't take my clothes without asking me. When I moved out and into my own apartment for college with 2 friends, and my family came to visit, my sister decided she was inviting herself for an extended stay and wanted me to sleep in one of my friends' rooms or something, since she decided she could stay. I refused to let her stay, and she told me I was being rude. I told her she could say goodbye to ever staying with me. My parents told me I could have let her stay. I told them they could also leave, and I gently encouraged that. My sister went to college in a different state. She was in a dorm for her freshman year, but now she's a sophomore and was living with some people she met in college. However, they wanted her out and refused to let her stay there anymore. My sister didn't take it seriously until she was forced to leave. With her last few dollars, she decided to take a bus and show up at my apartment, saying she was staying with me for a while because she was homeless and I needed to give her my room. She actually used the words, "You can take the couch for a few weeks." I refused to let her come in, and I refused to let her stay. She freaked out about having no more money and nowhere else to go. I told her it wasn't my problem. She cursed me out over DMs and told me I was the worst sister, and I'm so selfish for turning her away again. She also accused me of being unforgiving if this is about the last time I wanted to stay. My parents also started, so I blocked them. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It sounds like your sister has been raised to be entitled and toxic. Not even her college roommates can stand to live with her. If it matters that much to your parents, they should continue to let her live with them, since they are the ones who raised her to behave the way that she does. How unfortunate for her, because these behaviors will undermine her for the rest of her life. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Parents enabled her to become incredibly spoiled and demanding. Completely in the right, not allowing her to stay with you since you don't even have a good relationship with her from the start. It's your space, not hers. She isn't entitled to it just because you're related. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a chaotic week since my last post, and honestly, I'm still reeling from everything that's happened. I thought things with my sister couldn't get more intense, but boy, was I wrong. So, last time I told you all about how my sister showed up at my apartment, expecting to crash with me after her roommates kicked her out. I stood my ground and didn't let her in. Well, things escalated quickly from there. After I blocked my parents, they started reaching out to my friends, trying to get them to convince me to let my sister stay. My friends, knowing our history, backed me up and refused to get involved. But my sister, she wasn't giving up that easily. She started camping out in the hallway of my apartment building. Yep, you read that right. She had her bags and was sleeping right outside my door. My neighbors were getting annoyed, and I was getting complaints from the building manager. I felt trapped in my own home, having to step over her just to get to class. Then, 2 days into her hallway campout, I came home to find her crying. She told me her ex-boyfriend, who she'd been hoping to crash with, had laughed in her face and slammed the door on her. She was at her lowest, and despite everything, seeing her like that broke my heart. I almost caved, but then I remembered all the times she'd manipulated situations to her advantage. I offered to help her find a shelter or a cheap motel, but she just screamed at me, calling me heartless. It was a mess. The neighbors were peeking out their doors, and I was just trying to keep the situation calm. The next day, I thought things might have cooled down, but when I got back from class, I found my door unlocked. My heart dropped. I walked in to find my sister sitting on my couch, eating my food and watching my TV. She'd convinced my roommate, who didn't know the full story, to let her in. I was furious. I felt betrayed by my roommate and violated that my sister had just taken over my space like it was nothing. We had a huge fight, right there in the middle of the living room. She threw every insult she could think of at me, and I couldn't help but throw some back. It was loud, it was ugly, and it ended with me telling her she had to leave, now. She packed her bags, still hurling insults, and as she left, she dropped a bombshell. She told me she'd been seeing someone from our hometown, someone I had a huge crush on in high school. She knew I liked him, and she went after him anyway. It was like a punch to the gut. I couldn't believe she'd stooped that low. I was left standing there, in the middle of the chaos she'd created, feeling a mix of anger and heartbreak. I thought about all the times we'd fought over the years, all the times she'd taken advantage of me, and all the times I'd let it slide because she was my sister. But this was too much. I spent the next few days trying to get back to normal. My roommate apologized profusely, and I forgave her, but things were tense. I changed the locks, just in case, and tried to focus on my studies. Then, out of nowhere, my sister sent me a message. She'd found a place to stay, with a friend of a friend, and she wanted to apologize. She said she realized how badly she'd treated me, and that she was sorry. I didn't know what to think. Was this just another manipulation, or had she really seen the error of her ways? If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.